it's hilarious to me that they can come up with the rules to fix and ban fighting, but we can't deter the dirtiness that fighting is in there.
It's so easy too. We've talked about it a million times. The answer is just get rid of the instigator, and a lot of this shit is going to go away. Yep. The players will police themselves.
Yep. But
always have.
I get it from the QMJHL standpoint too. It's like people being upset at it from a standpoint of a junior league. Well, why aren't you upset that 15-year-olds can't fight in their leagues then? You know,
I recommend we get kids started in preschool.
It just there is
some kind of fight club.
Did they not move body contact back a year or two, a couple years ago?
Bantam is the first year you can hit, I believe.
Yeah, and it used to be Pee Wee when I was.
I used to be Pee Wee when I was.
And so it's
now you're a bigger body. You don't know how to use it properly, but you have a bigger weapon, and you don't know how to use it. Smart, very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's
idiots.
It's a tough thing when you start to make changes from the back in. When you come into a league, you're feeding into a league, and the changes have been made before that. So.
They now have a penalty called it's just called hit to the head, but I think it's head contact. I think they call it, and it's a 2 or a 4 kind of determined on the ref. And boy, oh boy, are there a lot of hit to the head penalties in a minor hockey league game now. Not that just because the kids don't know how to hit correctly, and you even see it in junior hockey now too, to an extent of the hitting is not perfect, and no one, you sometimes just going to get it right, but you'll see kids and they're always just doing it wrong. They're not actually using their bodies anymore.
When I went to the one dub game last year when the Oil Kings won the championship, I found it to be more physical than an NHL game, oddly, in terms of hitting. I just found it more physical.
Bodies aren't worn down as much.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot more body contact. It was interesting. So, but I also saw people were saying how how is this gonna prepare players from the Q moving into the NHL, if they do get into these kind of scrums, right?
I don't know. But you come back to the point that the NCAA hasn't had fighting forever.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And those players do function. I just think that I don't know. It's a tough conversation to have today.
Definitely.
Because we don't know what the actual effects are going to be. We're only assuming that the effects are going to be what hockey fighting was created to stop is going to continue to rise. So
I think you kind of do know a little bit of what it can do from a player's perspective, when I think in recent times the US has taken strides in junior hockey and their players are becoming better and better now in the NHL because they're more skilled and they don't have to worry about fighting in NCAA. Well, I'm not saying WHL, OHL, whatever players, obviously they have a big impact, but there's a bit more physicality to their games.
This is obviously
interesting.
This obviously can spawn a different conversation, but do you think taking fighting out of the game will ruin the viewing experience?
I think you're going to lose. You're naturally going to lose fans that came to the game for one certain aspect of it, and you're going to gain fans in another aspect. So
funny thing to me about
anybody comes in because you take out fighting.
The funny thing to me is
that's true.
People say, "Oh, I got to get fighting," but then if a scrap breaks out and you're at the game, the place goes bananas.
Oh yeah, exactly.
There's definitely it's a weird statement from to see league officials coming out and saying that this is a great thing for the league.
I think you should ask the guys involved in the sport whether they want it, instead of somebody else coming from outside and saying you guys shouldn't do this because of, and just wagging the fingers. Allow the players to decide.
Yeah, I think that's
allow the players to decide. We already know what the answer is going to be.
I like that they got rid of the players who can't play fights that would happen. Those weren't necessary, but
the funny thing about that is that they get rid of those, you get a lot more clean hit guy gets jumped right now, because you can't just send out Smack and have him line up against the
next shift
and them go and take care of it.
Yep, fair.
So there is going to be some good and some bad and some this and then that, but it's part of the game. It's always been part of the game. Stop trying to alter the game. If you don't want to watch hockey like that, go create a different sport then. Stop trying to change hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
unless you're getting rid of the trapezoid, I'm done with it.
I could see a future.
Marty Turco hasn't played in years.
As the guy that runs hockeyfights.com, I think I could see a future where there isn't fighting in the league. But I also think that in that, I also
don't want to fight cool, but don't make it illegal. Don't let the.
I also think that also means that league doesn't have physicality in it whatsoever, and that's okay if that's the sport that you want, but that's just not the hockey that I want.